Hello, everyone, and welcome to Whale Project Showcase. Today, we're featuring VoxoDeus, the ambitious, one-of-a-kind avatar and collectibles project that's building a rich lore and universe full of mythical creatures, robots, and cosmic beings set to technoform the Metaverse. Team, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're really hyped up. As you know, we've interacted a number of times. This project was actually brought to our attention from our community, and the whale community people saying, "Hey, this is something that should be on the radar. If you don't know about it, now you do." And I'm sure it'll be impactful. So really excited to be able to finally have you guys on to really talk in depth about the project. But before we do, everyone knows DC and myself. Let's go around the room. Satiris and NF Steve, tell us a little bit about yourselves and your role with VoxoDeus.
Yeah, absolutely. I can kick us off, and then Satiris, you can clear us out. Also, Satiris, you have a little bit of a robot voice. If you maybe can like mute or unplug or try to come back in. Yeah, so NF Steve or Steve, been involved with VoxoDeus for about a year now. Started as a holder. Then kind of just worked my way up through a variety of different roles. Was a CM for a while, and then now joined on full time as of April to head up the marketing, partnerships, community, all of the super important initiatives that we know make up a great NFT project. So we're super excited. We have a lot in the works right now, and a lot upcoming, some that we've talked about, extensively, some that are, kind of new and fresh, including different partnerships like this. And yeah, super appreciate you having us on here. I joined the whale community since the last time we checked. Love what you guys are building, love the way you guys go about things, and really hoping we can also bring some of our Voxo community members over into your community as well. So appreciate you having there. And then Satiris, let's see if the voice works now.
Fingers crossed. Do I still sound like a robot? Or...
A little bit.
Yeah. I may have to go to my robot voice as well, so we kind of sound in line. Hold on just a second.
Jeez. We promised.
I think we're all good now.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm not sure if I can get quite that deep, but awesome. One hell of an introduction, by the way, Nightmare. I couldn't put it in better words myself, how to describe the project. But for me, I'm Satiris. I'm the project lead behind VoxoDeus, and so I was very fortunate to kind of convince sort of a few close friends who are also sort of like a brilliant team of like artists, creatives, UI, UX designers, blockchain engineers, to kind of join me on this journey to create a large-scale 3D interactive NFT collectible. And so it's been quite a wild ride, and we launched in April of last year. And so yeah, I've just been sort of trying to push the project forward, like bringing new people. We've kind of expanded the team, and similarly as Steve said, we've been trying to like nurture members of the community and just really kind of throw everything we can at making this as best as it can be.
Thanks so much, and thank you for giving me a reason to put on this voice. I've been waiting a long time.
Boy.
Before talking smack to DC, I've always wanted to throw this on, so perfect opportunity. Guys, tell us a little bit, for anyone tuning in, not familiar with your project, if you could encapsulate it, what is VoxoDeus?
I can take this one, maybe?
Yeah, go for it. I'll dive in after.
Sure thing. So VoxoDeus is trying to be the sort of ultimate digital collector's item. And so for us, we wanted to create these pieces that resided in a world, in a universe. And so for us, like, lore has been at the forefront of everything we've done from day one. And so we tried to create this like really interesting like narrative and backstory where there's this kind of sort of godlike character that created this part of the Cipherverse and then brought into existence all of these beings. And these beings we call Voxos. And so there's lots of different kinds of Voxos, and they range from these kind of like sci-fi mythic, kind of like mythological animals, like you've got like bulls and birds and apes and things like that. But then we span down across different types. So we've got like these cyborg characters, kind of like half human, half robot, a little bit like you guys. And then we've also got sapien, very vague. We got these like sapien characters, we've got these like humans, and then we've got a whole band of different types of robots. And so my professional background for the last 10 years has been sort of 3D product design. And so I wanted to kind of combine that world of 3D design with my love of crypto. And so for us, we launched straight into 3D. And that was our really sort of like big, unique selling point. Unfortunately, that has also allowed us to be the first to partner with the Sandbox to kind of take all of our avatars and make them playable in their world. Not a short explanation. Apologies.
Yeah, so you have these different species and they're voxo collectibles, right? They all have different stats and different traits, different rarities, quite honestly, as well, because once I went down the rabbit hole, a lot of cool stuff. There's classes, there's what they're holding in their hands is a big deal I learned in the community, right? I had a dual blam hammer slip right between my fingers, and I'm very upset about it still. So a lot going into this project, and it looks like a lot that you've built as far as infrastructure on what these things can do, more so than a lot of collectible projects I've seen. Before we get into that, what was the inspiration? You talk about wanting to do this. Were you looking at other projects? Were you looking at other games? What inspired you to go down this route and create this project?
Great question. I think as far as like the high level inspiration goes, all of the team are kind of massively lovers of sci-fi, and I'm like a big fan of like space operas and these like kind of sprawling universes, and so I wanted to create something kind of that sort of tapped into that. And then I managed to convince a close friend of mine, who's also our creative director, to kind of do a lot of the artwork and the style and basically come up with all the characters. And he also runs his own indie game studio. They got funding from Microsoft, and so he kind of brought this whole level of like structure and kind of laying like a lot of foundations for like future gamification. And as you mentioned, we've got all the stats and everything like that kind of lends itself to future sort of like play to earn kind of ecosystems. But then for the actual collection itself, I was very inspired by the likes of CryptoPunks, because CryptoPunks, they have different species types. So you've got a handful of aliens, you've got a few more apes, a few more zombies, but then you've got lots of like male and female characters. And so you've got this kind of like pyramid of distribution. And I wanted to create something similar to that with our different character types. So you've got these like 1 Omega, 8 Ascendi, which are these like really intricate 101s. And then you've got these like band of exos, which are all like animals, and then a wider band of cyborgs and more humans and more robots. And so that kind of gave us our high level rarity breakdown. But then I wanted to provide sort of an entry point for people at all levels, because I found with CryptoPunks, the each tier had quite a steep price divide. So the cost between getting like a male CryptoPunk and like a ape CryptoPunk was like 100 ETH or something. It was like a massive difference. And so I wanted to give people a chance to kind of have a lot of rich collectability within each tier as well. So that's where the idea of like factions come into play. So even if you've got a robot character that is the most common, there's 4 different factions, and those factions have different like rarities because they've got different distributions. So it gives that kind of additional kind of like intricacy and interest. And then finally, who doesn't love Pokemon? And so we created like 3 rarity categories where you've got rare, super rare, and then ultra rare. And so the ultra rares are kind of like the first edition shinies, and then the super rare are like the normal shinies, and then you've got the rest, which are the kind of base characters. So it's a lot to take in at first pass, but once you, like you said, once you start delving down the rabbit hole, then there's this. We just wanted to create like a collector's sort of dream project where there's so much to explore and dig down into. And Steve, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah,
as well.
no, I mean,
maybe the gear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of what what initially drew me in. Obviously, I wasn't part of the conversations, and you rudely excluded me from the founders meetings, way back last April. But I'll forgive you for now. But yeah, I mean, I think it was that kind of excitement of the mint of really understanding that there was such a broad variety of things that could be collected, and even if you're able to land one that maybe isn't an ultra rare, there's still uniqueness to each one of them. And then the other part of it was not only is this founded in the collectability side of it, as well as the deep lore, which we can share through a little bit of the lore decks as well, and how everything ties into the wider kind of narrative of the universe. But we're building out incredible utility as well. Right now, the main partnership that we're working on that utility with is the Sandbox. So all of these will be, playable avatars within the Sandbox. We have an NPC collection coming out as well. We have a 12 by 12 plot that we are building out, specific action HQs that will have different activities, events, games, experiences, things like that, that will be accessible for Voxo holders. We want to have areas accessible for our partners as well, especially, if you guys are able to get some of the, like one of these whale busts, can it also offer, additional access down the road. Obviously for some of that we are.
Whoa, Steve, you're already leaking my alpha already? So now I'm being front run by Steve as well. DC, do something about this. Dev, do something.
Yeah.
I apologize. I get excited, but yeah, no, I think I'll hold off from there. But yeah, lots of different complexities to it, and I think the exciting part for me is that we're still building, and I would say even right now we're picking up even into more and more speed, bringing on new people into the team, including myself. And we started minting about a year ago, and we've just continued to build, and continue to look back to ways to give back to our original minters, our holders, those who have minted and held, but really just fostering a great community within the NFT space that we want to give confidence to people that we're going to be here 3, 6, 9, 12 months plus down the road, which is something that we've already proven, and with everything we have in place, I'm very confident as well. So I won't give too much more alpha on some of the things to come here, but
I'm just kidding, yeah. Steve. We love the alpha here. You mentioned something.
We'll save it for later.
You mentioned the lore decks, which I love because this is essentially your community have really taken to these characters and these factions, and I love when I'm over there because they live and breathe it, right? Like they get excited when they see a new purchase based on the characteristics of the outfit or what they have in their hands and what that means to the greater, the different factions. So like it made me want to get involved and learn more about it. And I love that you mentioned the lore decks, which my understanding, this is a community driven initiative that they've really taken and built out, some of this incredible, lore, fleshed it out even more, right? So there's a lot to absorb here and really, get entrenched into the characters. This isn't just something aesthetic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The lore decks is something I'm super excited about, and we recently launched this for the public a couple weeks ago, and one of the main parts of it is what we call mythologies. So within the lore decks, our team and our creative our creative arm of our team has built out this incredible world where there's the full environment, how the factions interact, and how the different species and archetypes interact as well. But the mythologies part is you can take your own Voxo character and write a story about their life, something they've seen, an interaction, And similarly to the real world is, it may or may not be 100% factual or 100% canon, but it is something that is in the world, right? So, it's still something that, maybe it's a book that someone finds in a library that you wrote or something like that. It's still part of the universe. So it's a really nice balance between being able to continue to build out, the quote unquote official world and the stories that we're coming out with in the next few weeks here, but also allow the community to add in as well. And I think a lot of what we can do with the community members, the community contributions as well, is embed that into the real stories and things like that. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. So, Darius, I know I jumped in there, but definitely feel free to clean me up on the Lord X side.
Let me put this in terminology for DC here. So, there's Star Wars Legends, and they can become canon.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what's funny, Nightmare, is when I jumped in and I started reading some of the lore, I said, "Wow, this is fantastic." And then a few days ago, time is really quite interesting for me lately, but may have been yesterday, who knows? But we were talking about some of the community members submitting some pieces, and I actually got to read one of them. It was fantastic. I mean, this is what really drew me in when we were talking together last time, is that the lore is so in depth and is really taken off, and then you kind of connected to the characters. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I want. I won't say what I want, but I want something. I'm a big fan of games, so you could probably tell that I what I want. But I would be a huge fan of a game. Nice. With all this lore and story.
Oh, you're just going right for the jugular.
I'm going for the.
Okay, so I have this way down the list. So let's talk about this. There's a lot of attention to detail here in the metadata, in the way that you've built out, the way that these can interact. And even, I've seen some different things alluding to some expansion of your IP, which maybe we'll get into a little bit afterwards, right? Is there a game in play here? Is that part of the plan?
Yes, like down the line, going the play to earn route is going to be kind of the North Star for a lot of things we do. Obviously, though, well, it helps that one of our co-founders is a games designer and runs his own game studio. He's actually currently put on hiatus for a few years to focus full time on like the Scifiverse and VoxoDeus. But it takes time to do a good game. And so we don't want to just do like a generic fork, quick cash grab type thing. We actually want to create something that's like accessible, but compelling. And it's got kind of some longevity to it. And also something that doesn't just rely on like Ponzi kind of mechanics that I think is somewhat hard to escape from in this space if you're not careful. And so for us, we're really trying to lay a much wider foundation to everything we're doing. And so that's why the lore has been so critical from day one, where we're trying to establish this kind of like wider framework that then allows us to build not just like a play to earn game, but the whole ecosystem around like the play to earn game itself. And so even if you've got a play to earn mechanic, you might still need like multiple additional collections, different types of characters, different types of objects, different types of land, different types of buildings, and like they all need to work in a way that kind of can be self-sustained as well. And so we're looking at games like EVE Online that have like really well structured in-game economies for kind of inspiration on how to create something a little bit more lasting. But for everything we do, the Voxo characters will always be considered as like the Genesis items because they were the first project to kind of make the Scifiverse a reality. And so by holding a Voxo, you will, if say we launch a token, you would get like
let's just hypothetically
hypothetically
there's a VoxoDeus token here.
Wild speculation. It definitely is not called NRG. And something like that would mean you'll get like a higher staking yield or something like that if you hold a Voxo. And so for us, we want to create these as like the core pillars, but then later down the line launch like a follow-up collection called Scifikin, and so they're going to be these kind of like creature-based like animals from like a different part of the Cypherverse, and then they have sort of like different traits, different levels of evolution and things like that. And so then the Voxos and the Scifikin kind of bridge together to make something hopefully pretty fun and compelling. But it takes time. So we're looking at towards the end of the year before we can kind of...
Wow. I wasn't even going to try to pin you to a timeline, but thank you for volunteering it. It's so easy with you, Satiris. You're right.
Oh God, I'm awful. I need to stop over-promising. I'm just like, it'll be ready someday, sometime.
Moneyball hopped in our community and said, not only do we have these attributes and stats, but there's even boosts and things of that nature. DC, you're familiar with this, with what goes on with Starcade, which is a community favorite gamification of, you know, kind of PFPs and avatars of ours. So obviously something big in play. We love the depth of what you put into this project, even only being at this stage. It's far more than people that have released full games have done. So one of the comments from our community, we have, you know, different roles within Whale to people that want to take different benefits from the project, right? Some people want to proclaim how much Whale they have, and they have kind of a staking mechanism. We have a lot of exclusive drops, etc. One of our highest tier roles, the Whale community, whales within Whale, actually. Part of the conversation there was, hey, I hadn't heard about this, let me look into it. And quickly they came back and said, wow, what these guys have delivered over the past year is super impressive. Like, you know, the fact that that I didn't know about this is really under the radar. I'm psyched that I got put onto this. And I think that's the common theme when we talk to people about your project, is that what you've delivered really talks to the potential of what's coming down the pipeline.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. And I think that's been our Achilles heel so far, where 3 of the 4 founders are designers. We have like myself as a product designer, Shireen as like a UI UX designer, and Ben as a games designer. And then our other co-founder is our kind of CTO, so from a very technical background. And so for us, we're builders, we're creators, we dive deep into things. And that sometimes means it's not always the most accessible or like easy to get. And so I think for us, our like marketing and outreach has probably not had enough focus and attention that it deserves to really spread the word of the project far and wide. And so this was actually one of the critical hires with Steve as well. So now Steve's our head of like marketing and partnerships. And so he creates wonderful connections like this to help us spread the good word. And so now I think we're in a really solid place where, as you kind of mentioned, we've been working on this for over a year now, constantly delivering. We're not going anywhere. We're fully committed. And now it's just a case of getting the word out there and really hoping kind of we get that flywheel effect.
Well, obviously Sandbox got the word, making you one of their first official partners. Talk to me about how that came about. How did you become one of the first partners of the Sandbox? Because I would think, you know, they look for a certain level of either, you know, they know that you've delivered in the past, or they can see the level of professionalism and potential.
Yeah, we got really fortunate with that. So early on in the project, we had to make the kind of aesthetic and creative decision on kind of what style to go with for all the characters. Initially, we were thinking of something a little bit more low poly. But then when I was kind of explaining the universe I wanted to build, where it's kind of like heavily inspired by like blockchain, and we're in the Cypherverse, and the Cypherverse is kind of imagined in the blockchain, kind of like Tron, but blockchain. And so obviously blockchain is lots of blocks and lots of cubes. And so our creative director was like, oh, have you heard of like a voxel aesthetic? And a voxel is like a 3D pixel. So it's like lots of little cubes. And then when he showed me what was possible with these characters, I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. And so we went deep down the voxel kind of aesthetic. But the difficulty with voxels is it's really hard to make them look cool and badass, because you've only got a few kind of like pixels or voxels to play with. if you're not careful, things can look quite childlike and quite kind of like sort of soft and friendly and just not very like cool or sci-fi. And so luckily for us, like Ben's a phenom when it comes to design, and we had like a massive team of like 6 different voxel artists all building out stuff. And so we actually came up with a bunch of like really cool looking, compelling characters. And then I think the Sandbox are always on the lookout for like new voxel talent. And so I think I reached out to them in their like support channel, and then Sebastian, their COO, like responded and was like, oh, this looks amazing, let's set up a call. And then very quickly they really liked what they saw and were just like super keen to try and find a way for us to work together. And so the first thing was we worked with them to turn all of our voxos into playable avatars for their metaverse. And so now by holding a voxo, you'll soon be able to get that as a playable avatar. You'll also get an NPC as a separate NFT that you can then use to propagate in your own lands. You could have like a robot uprising that you battle through as a samurai character kind of thing. So there's lots of kind of cool stuff. And then we also have a 12x12 in the Sandbox. So we're like building out a bunch of cool worlds and experiences there. And one thing to note, by the way, if you click the little menu icon at the top right, each character comes with its own like 3D background. And so if you click on the scene, so we've also built out all these kind of nice environments. And I imagine the floor voxos only have the basic environments, but if you go to our website and sort by rarity, you can kind of start to see some more of the special custom backgrounds as well. So I think they were also drawn to our, like, not just our character design, but our ability to create kind of really cool voxel environments.
Yeah, I had seen that. Not only do you have these opportunities to put the voxels in different environments, but you've had different ways that people were able to earn different environments and things that go into the scene with them through different gamification and different processes throughout your development. So very cool things continue to evolve, including you just had a big contest, right? You had the key search or whatever, where you gave away 250 ETH.
Yeah, gave away 250 ETH. Quite possibly the biggest giveaway in NFT history. Yeah, I know, it's crazy though. So yeah, it's like $750,000 USD we gave away. If you could go to our website quickly to the gallery page, I can just touch on slightly about the gallery at the top left. Oh, sorry. I just want to touch on the community aspect where you were talking about the rarity and the distribution has kind of been crafted. So the nice thing with this project is the actual final rarity has been heavily influenced by community input. And so, as you mentioned, we've got like custom backgrounds, but we've also got custom add-ons. So like lots of different pets, special items. We did like a 420 promotion. So some of them have got like a spliff or a joint. So if you sort by rarity, so rarity up, that will show you the rarest ones. But then if you start to scroll down, a bloody bug today we saw, like for some reason it's doubling up the characters, but ignore that. If you start to scroll down sort of to like the rank sort of like 100-ish, what you start to see is actually some of the more common like robot characters or sapien characters ranking really high up. And the reason for that is because that's been community members who've kind of taken a voxo they love and then try to enter like every giveaway, every competition. And each time they win, they can then apply a different trait to that character to then make it like this really unique collector's piece. And then because it's got all these special backgrounds, all these special pets, like
I know I'm supposed to be going, but there's so many amazing ones I want to stop and look at, so I'll have to come back up.
For sure, it's not a problem. But the nice thing with that is it was truly like a community crafted collection. And so for any of the collectors out there, it's an absolute treasure trove of like different intricacies, and then collect all the different characters from all the different factions, and yeah, a lot of cool stuff there. And then also, if you go to our website, you can just click on one of the characters, anyone, and then if you scroll down, so you'll see the nice full screen viewer, but if you keep scrolling down a little bit further, you can see the rarity points, and then all the different attributes, and then the rarity score we've attributed to each one. And so there's like a very intricate rarity ranking system as well that each Voxo has. So you can just hop to our website and like type in any Voxo you're looking at, and you'll be able to get the official rarity score as well. So that's a really nice one. It's like top 200 rank. Oh, Moneyball, nice.
Moneyball, yeah.
good lad. So yeah, so this is like an ultra rare Deliverable bit. So the robots are the most common, but because that's an ultra rare, only 1% have that. So then that's why it's in like the top 200. And if you scroll down, he's probably also got like a special background or a pet or something like that added to it as well. So if you keep going down, extras. So this also has a special background called the Unkempt Shrine. So if you go back up to the 3D viewer, you'll be able to show that background. And so this is one of the special backgrounds. A little bit higher. You'll need
that's for AR. So
yeah,
also it's all AR capable.
And then there's two options if you go to the bottom one. So each Voxo comes with a default scene, but then you can also get like special custom scenes. So hopefully the load time payoff will be worth it. And we've got like all of these special. So if you can like zoom in, zoom out, and when you're probably not streaming multiple screens and stuff, like it generally runs pretty smoothly, but
yeah, no, definitely, because you guys have so much going on here, and even it's slowing my avatar here, so it looks like my mouth is moving much slower than my speech pattern, but that's fine. It's for a good cause. Normally I'd say, all right guys, you know, this is the star of the show, but for this it's definitely what you guys have to offer. That's incredible, that there's so much nuance to it, and that's not even the wow factor, right? The wow factor is when you actually see these in the sandbox and what you can do, and hopefully we could see that in a few moments. Someone's telling me I need to upgrade to a real PC. Subspace, I got at least 32 gigs of RAM in this thing, so I don't, you know, we'll work it out afterwards. So absolutely incredible stuff, guys. Walk us through your deliverables so far, really quick, some quick hits, and then what's in store? What's coming up next for VoxoDeus?
Yeah, Steve, do you want to take us through some of the
absolutely.
recent deliverables?
So a couple things that we have upcoming up. The first is our Heirloom Artifacts, which are basically essentially weapons. So they're going to be their own NFTs, but they will be weapons within the sandbox. These are like swords, spears, and different things like that. So Satiris will share those in a bit. These are eligible for some of our early minters. So way back when we launched and had a bonding curve, and then we had to adjust that to be a flat pricing. For those who had minted kind of above that flat pricing, this was an option for them. So you'll see those in a bit. Super cool. Will be very limited edition as well. And then our main focus moving forward will shift towards the launch of our Sandbox avatars. So the first launch of the collection will be NPCs that you'll be able to claim if you own a VoxoDeus and use in your own lands and your own game builds and things like that. Ultimately, we're trying to move as quickly as possible to then have them be playable avatars in the sandbox. So log in, click your VoxoDeus, and then you can run around, play, in your own lands and other lands, in different capabilities like that as well. So bringing our Voxos into the metaverse is really has been one of our largest priorities from the start. So we are super close. We had a really good call this week as well with the Sandbox to kind of start locking down some of the final details here to get us ready to go. We're in great company as well with the other kind of projects that they're working with to bring this capability in. As we mentioned, we were the first to partner with them on this. And I think once you guys see what they look like in the Sandbox, it's going to be really cool. And for us, there's a lot of different long-term, like Sachira said, that we have the North Star of the play to earn. We have a lot of different things with a long-term view on it. But the ability to play these as an avatar is something that will always kind of be there once the Sandbox goes live. So that's a really exciting thing that we want to play off in terms of having everyone find their kind of forever avatar as they dive into the metaverse, and having that be a VoxoDeus because they look super clean. So those are kind of the big things that we're focusing on. I don't know, Satiris, if you want to go through some of the kind of the other stuff, because as Satiris mentioned, it's going to take some time for some of those longer, bigger term, but by no means does that mean we're going to keep the foot off the gas in the short term to continue to give new and unique value propositions to our holders, and including partnerships like this one as well. So we absolutely love what we got going on here as well, and we're always looking for really cool partnerships and collaboration opportunities. So definitely appreciate this. I really love this Elytris. If you open the background and the pet it has, and it's probably, in my opinion, one of the coolest combos. So I would do the Phoenix pet and then the Smolder stacks. So this one has a Phoenix pet shooting a fireball, and then a massive like fire Phoenix background.
Wow.
So it's just awesome how it all, and this was luck of the draw for this minter in terms of the pet they got to match this with the archetype of the Sapien with the fireball, and it's just kind of
the fact the Elytris is also a fire Elytris.
Yeah, the whole thing
Wow.
just ridiculous. So this is one of my favorites. I always love showing this one.
And that's the kind of intricacies is not very common with a lot of projects, where you just got these like layers upon layers of kind of like beautiful kind of things you can kind of combine with the traits, and then hopefully it just looks beautiful.
So before I just want to make a couple points. I've been dying to say it, but you made the comment about taking your foot off the gas pedal. I've been watching your project for a really long time, since you first came out, and I would say that you haven't taken your foot off at all. In fact, the world is just becoming even more and more built out, and I absolutely love it. The attention to detail is insane, and it's really inspiring. Like you said, I'm so impressed, especially with that example. Fantastic. I wish I had that, sadly. But you had me at play, and this is one of the points I wanted to make. You had me at play. The earned portion is the bonus for me. So, I mean, a lot of people right now, and I think that, this conversation about utility and art is kind of a good parallel. The art's great, utility is a bonus. And as far as, you want to build a game out, you want to do that. The earn is a bonus to me. So,
For sure.
Because I love the lore. I love the look of it. I love the characters. I love all that stuff. And the bonus is the earn.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And I think I hate the term like play to earn as well. I think like play and earn is a much better representation of what we're trying to do. And I think, again, like EVE Online is a really nice example of that, but also like there's like a bunch of games like World of Warcraft or whatever, where you actually have these kind of thriving in-game economies, which are actually kind of this byproduct of a fantastic game that people love to play, and there's so much demand and intricacy that like very few people are actually playing these games to kind of make a living. And the majority of it stems from it just being a fantastic game to play. And so obviously it's hard to kind of compete with the top tier titles, but hopefully we can get like a little bit of the way there, at least.
Well, I love that you referenced Eve of all possible MMOs, because it probably has the most intricate cultural and, you know, intersocietal wars and factions, and that people take that really serious, man. When I was playing Eve, me and my brother didn't talk to each other for like 6 months after something that went down. So Eve is a great reference into the care and delicacy you put into the stats and whatnot and what you're building.
Yeah, and I think that's been one of the things as well, where I think the space isn't ready, or it wasn't ready for like such depth and intricacy, and the fact that you actually need to spend a bit of time with the project to like really understand it. Where I think it's because the space moves so quick, like a lot of people were just focused on like quick flips and things like that, where there's not much depth to things. And for us, we didn't want to like go that route. And so hopefully for us, it's going to be more of a kind of like long-term play where we keep building, we keep delivering, and in time that will kind of keep kind of like compounding.
Right, so there's thousands of these that have been created. You have some of the biggest collectors in the space that have amassed quite the stash. Obviously, see the potential in what not only what you've already done, but what's to come in the future. Like you said, oftentimes the genesis of any of these larger scale projects and IPs means something else down the road. Something important to be able to play a cog in that ecosystem or that gaming experience, whatever that is. So I'm eager to find out what that is eventually. That's why made sure I hopped in and scooped one of my own. I want to make sure we have a chance to highlight the real star of the show here, which is actually seeing these avatars in the sandbox. Would you mind, Satiris, hopping on and showing us while we continue to talk?
Sure. So unfortunately, the avatars themselves I can't quite show just yet, but I can show you a video of what they would look like, and then I can show you our in-game world with an additional surprise.
Awesome.
So are you sharing my screen now?
We are.
Awesome. So I'll play this quick video just to give the audience an idea of what these avatars will look like. So the full collection is 6,312 unique characters. Each one is like geometrically unique. So we didn't just kind of cheap out and just change color palettes. We like really tried to make every single one its own kind of like miniature masterpiece. And then the amazing artists at the Sandbox kind of translated the model of, say, like this character into a fully rigged playable avatar in the Sandbox. And I know I'm biased, but there's no other avatars that look anywhere near this good, because we were like a voxel project from day one, as opposed to a different style that's then been retroactively applied to a voxel aesthetic. So this is what you'll be able to expect to play very shortly in both NPCs and then also hopefully the sort of like fully playable avatars pretty soon as well. And then I can show you a sneak peek of one of our builds. Just bear with me a second. And I definitely need a more powerful computer as well. So it might be a little bit jittery.
They've already busted my chops in the chat over if it happened to you, it could happen to anyone.
God, I know, it's awful. I'm a product designer as well, so I need to. I spent way too much money about 4 years ago on a PC, but now it's like time to get a new one. So this is an example of our world, and so this is kind of the types of things you can be expecting from the aesthetics of like a Cifiverse build. So everything's kind of intricate, super stunning. And then the piece de resistance is this very recognizable figure, hopefully floating in the sky.
Yes, indeed.
So this is what some of your lucky community members might be getting access to.
Right. Yeah, we have posted in our announcements. We shared on Twitter as well. So, what we're doing is there's been such synergies between our two communities. Is really, rewarding people that have engaged in both communities and really talked about their interests in each other. So anyone that's a role holder in Whale that also holds a Voxo, there's going to be a snapshot on April 22nd. And if you hold both the roll and the Voxo, then you'll be airdropped the corresponding, what do we call these? Cipher take busts? Right?
Cipher takes, yes.
All right, so these cipher take busts that are representative of the role that you have in Whale. So there's a dolphin, there's a shark, there is a whale, which this is, incredible to see it actually floating in the sky, massive in that size, right, and what it could mean. But you could have these in your collection. You could put them on your various parcels because, you'll have the voxel files and be able to build out as well. And there may just be a little bit of rarity snuck in there, a little bit of variety. So you may not know exactly what type you're going to get and if it'll have a certain feature or not. So be on the lookout for that. But super hyped for this partnership and be able to bring some value to both our communities that way.
Cannot wait. And also just a few other things to note with what we're offering. So Steve mentioned about Heirloom Artifacts, which are these like custom weapons. And so you can see here my character's brandishing like a giant flaming like broadsword type thing. This is still a work in progress, but we've got 32 different weapons currently deep underway. I kind of show you this as well. So this is what you can be expecting, where we've got all these different types of weapons, all again with their own like rich kind of like points-based systems, and
everyone has a story too,
like lore story, and so that's kind of what you can be expecting with these kind of additional items. And then also with the pets, I've lost my pet, but some of the keen-eyed followers. Yeah, so again, this is very early tests, but if you I left him over here. So you can see this little character that'll it should follow you about, but I think he's hungry or something. There's like a knife and fork icon. But when I first loaded it in, he was I'm not sure if I can.
Well, he's certainly not going to follow you around.
Oh, I like the effect on that swing.
Yeah, it's like doof, doof, doof.
Oh yeah.
So you can actually, if you don't kill your little pet companion, once we figure out the exact pet mechanics in the sandbox, you can have you'll be able to have your pets follow you about. So we've got like obviously the phoenix, but we've got apes, we've got snakes, a llama, cats, dogs, robo versions of like a robo cat, a robo dog, a robo ape as well. And so there's loads of fun little things to kind of discover as well with your kind of sandbox experience. And then these were the original cipher takes as well. So we've kind of done voxel versions of other projects where we try and pay kind of homage to kind of big high level projects we love and to kind of give back to the community members who hold these. So an amazing community member like CE Crypto Eye, she's a big fan of World of Women, like really prevalent in their community. So we made a voxel sort of bust of her, of one of her World of Women. And so this is like a 3D asset that is also a separate NFT, but then she'll be able to bring it into her own kind of builds. We're going to create like a big kind of museum of all of these. And then obviously the whale, shark, and dolphin kind of tie into that, where we're really trying to like showcase other projects in our style and try and create something that's also going to be part of a much wider collection as well.
Can I just say how perfect it actually looks in your world? It's when I saw it, I was like, man, this was destined. This was meant to be. One thing that we forgot to mention is, along with the airdrop, so anyone that has both a Voxo and a Roll and Whale, they'll be airdropped their corresponding ciphertext bus that they can put into their metaverse plots as we see here. But also there'll be a raffle, and one of the recipients will be able to basically commission a unique one-of-one to be created of their favorite NFT. So whatever it is, your team will put it together and make something super dope. If it's me, I'm going to put them to the test with like a glitch-heavy X copy or a max capacity or something.
Yeah.
Really make them have to work. But looking forward to seeing that as well.
Yeah, I can maybe just show a couple of examples of ciphertext we've done previously.
Yeah, I think the Pop Wonder is probably the most difficult one because it was a one-of-one painting. But yeah, put them to the test. I love it.
Yeah. So obviously we've got like a Doodles, an On One, Lost Boy, Creatures. The Pop one was certainly challenging. And then the nice thing with this as well is, again, we were like the first project to go full native 3D. So we created our own bespoke custom 3D viewer that no other projects at the time, and very few now, have this kind of thing. That's 3D assets directly in OpenSea, but not just with the plain white background. You've got your own kind of lighting, different menu settings, and all of that to really kind of have this fully immersive experience. And so this is what you can be expecting when you get a ciphertext, where you get this full interactive model, but then you also get something you can kind of showcase in your own lands. So this is the one I was just showing you in the sandbox. It's like a beautiful, beautiful watermelon. So yeah, lots to come there. And I'm not sure if we want to maybe run through the competition entry requirements. Maybe Steve.
Yeah, I think Nightmare touched on a bit, but
yeah,
essentially, very simply, if you have an H2P role, so either dolphin, shark, or whale, and you also own at least one Voxo, then as long as you have it at that snapshot on April 22nd, then we'll get these busts out to you, and it's kind of cumulative. So like if you have the whale role in a Voxo, then then obviously you have enough whale token to also have a shark and a dolphin roll, so you'll get all three. The only like the benefit to owning like an H2P and multiple Voxes is the number of Voxes you own will be additional entries into that ciphertext. So however many Voxes you own will be an entry. We're going to announce probably early next week before the snapshot the full details on all the raffle. Didn't want to overwhelm everyone with all the minor details here, but yeah, essentially the more boxes you have, the more entries for that, but only need one to get the bust and everything that comes with it. And then in the future, I think either Q3 or Q4, what we're putting together is a multi-Voxel viewer. So that'll be kind of on our website. So if you have multiple Voxes, you can show them all at once with your bust kind of at the as part of that or in the front. So that'll be super cool, but not something that's fully fleshed out yet, but something that we are already planning on doing with some other ciphertext and our Voxes as well. So we'll definitely get these added into that process as well.
By the way, I love talking with you guys and how you were so receptive to, let's add some sci-fi and steampunk elements that makes perfect sense with what we do already. So it was like a synergy all the way around, from community to conceptualization. And I'm sure we could probably continue to work in different ways as you continue to evolve.
Definitely.
I know DC's got smoke coming out of his ears the way he plays games of different things we could do. So I can see the way he's shaking back and forth with his avatar. He's getting excited.
Exactly.
Guys, I know we're up against the hour, but we do have several questions from the community. So if you didn't mind, we'd love to run them by you.
Let's do it.
Okay. One of them says, tell us what keeps you up at night. What do you feel about the collectible scene now? What's good, what's bad, and what are you guys going to do different?
What keeps me up at night? Well, I think just the existential nature of existence, but apart from that, within the world of like NFTs and collecting, I think there's the biggest threat is just froth in the market. It's like, obviously in a bull run, everyone's trying to make a quick buck and diving in. And so you get this kind of like equal and opposite reaction of like the progression of a bull market and the like lowering of quality of the projects in the space. And so I think it's part of the cycles that'll occur where things get too hyped, but then in time things will kind of pull back down a little bit, and then the kind of like projects with passionate, dedicated teams, and especially ones who've shown that they're like willing to dedicate the time and effort into kind of working on it, hopefully those will survive. And I think short term can be bearish, but like long term, it's kind of like a forest fire that you need to like grow anew. And so for everything we're doing, we're trying to position ourselves to be like this long term play that will kind of come out flourishing, regardless of the wider sort of froth. But that being said, I think Bored Apes or Yuga will probably single-handedly save the NFT market, at least this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you hit the nail on the head there, Satiris, in terms of, there was, I think, a lot of frustration amongst the team and, last summer probably around all of the work that, is going into VoxoDeus, and then seeing all of these projects that aren't currently even around anymore, blow up and then, fizzle out, because, that's not the kind of thing that we want to have for our collectors. But at the same time, it was the reality of the market. And I think what we've done better at recently is more accepting that there's a bit of that we need to play into a little bit to make sure that our holders are also feeling happy, not only with what we're delivering, but how the overall market is feeling that. So it's an incredibly difficult line to kind of straddle, because right now the market loves like new projects, everything that's new. And, we've just been here building. So it's, I would say that's probably what keeps me up at night is how do we capture some of that excitement, bring in, lots of new and fresh ideas so that our, current holders and new holders are really excited about what's upcoming, but continue to build on the core principles that we have and make sure that we're doing things the right way. So that's what we're doing. And, I think for looking at the full NFT landscape, it's, you can't take yourself too seriously out there. Go buy one of the joke memes and have fun. You'll gain some Twitter followers. Hang around. Things like that. Buy
a tiny dino.
Yeah, get a tiny dino. Get a Frank for a day. If you got to kind of have fun with the space, but also keep a keen eye for the ones that you want to kind of invest into. Build your portfolio out in the long run. But ultimately, I think. Just diving in there's a lot of really, really great projects out there. And those are ultimately what, I'm looking forward to bring to, potential collaboration opportunities for VoxoDeus holders as well. So, I think that's, my current kind of take on the market, but, it changes every day, in terms of the full sentiment. It just takes one rug and for the whole market to tank, or, one airdrop for the whole market to rocket. So, I think when you have something like that, having such an impact, it just goes to show how early we still are, when it's like one thing can still move the full market. So lots to still learn, though. That's for sure. Hope that answers your question.
Definitely. I think that's part of your appeal to our community is you're that amalgamation of fun, of super dope art and gaming and actual building, right? You guys put in work, you delivered, you have tech we don't see in other ones. We can only imagine what's to come. So thank you for kind of bringing that recipe, because it definitely got us hungry for more. We have a comment/question from our community member who's an avid gamer, Subspace. Comment, I guess is saying, hey, can modifying your lore in your voxel get embedded into the NFT somehow, some way? So just something to simmer on, maybe something to think about. I'd love to have some maybe some opportunity for that to really play a role. That would be cool. And then he had a question: do these NFTs have full animations built into them for movement and actions, or does the Sandbox engine handle that?
The NFTs themselves are fixed, so you don't have built-in animation. We want to create these more like art toys, and kind of these like long-lasting collectibles. So these are kind of like the pristine models that you kind of collect. However, we do provide all the 3D files for these, so like you can rig them yourselves and bring them into like lots of different metaverses. And then specifically for the Sandbox, we actually had to remodel all of these characters. And interpret them in a way that could fit the rigging of the Sandbox avatars, because they've got quite sort of strict rigging proportions and rules you need to follow to make sure the sort of, because it's such a large scale game, there needs to be a level of consistency there. But fortunately for us, because it's voxelated, that style carries across almost perfectly.
Cool. This is a question for B personally. I've seen you do teasers or allude to in different socials your IP expansion. It almost looks like the game Journey to me, right? It had a very desert motif. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Of course. So if you go to our website or our Notion, you can see like our road ahead and stuff. So we've got lots of deliverables still coming up. But towards the end, we have a little teaser of Scifikin. So Scifikin is going to be the kind of follow-on collection from VoxoDeus, where, again, like very voxelated style. However, these are kind of more sort of like mystical kind of creatures. So they could be like forest sprites or these like desert kind of like beings that are kind of a little bit more inquisitive and friendly. And then with VoxoDeus, it's a little bit more kind of like cyberpunky and cool and like things like that. And so we've got this kind of interesting blending of kind of styles. And for us, when we created the Cypherverse, we didn't want to limit ourselves to kind of just these kind of like stylistic niches, but we wanted to create this kind of plane where we can explore lots of different things. And so not only are we doing like 3D stuff, we're actually working on another collection as well. There's like 2D kind of like profile pic type style as well that I think adds like a whole different dynamic to the space. But for Scifikin, these are going to be kind of creatures, but then they have different levels of evolution. And so they'll start in their kind of base form, and then you can interact with it, level it up, and then it will evolve to kind of like a level 2, and then ultimately a level 3. And then at each evolution stage, then it will generate a new NFT. And so you kind of get like 3 NFTs out of 1 type thing. And then we're also looking at some interesting things where we've got different elements, different gemstones, and maybe that can kind of guide evolutionary paths. But then ultimately the VoxoDeus characters and the Scifikin will all be interwoven within this kind of wider like ecosystem and kind of gaming framework.
So the ability to evolve your NFT possibly. I like it. I like the alpha leaks here, Satirus.
Oh God, I say too much. You draw it out of me.
Hey. So I know we're running long. DC had to drop off. I commandeered so many questions because I was geeking out over here. But here's a fun one, and I'll let you guys go after this one, and I'll save some of these questions for our next opportunity to talk, because I have a feeling we'll probably do this again sometime.
Oh, please.
Community asked, can you guys share some of your gaming inspiration? It helps them understand your frame of reference and what you're building.
For sure. So for me, a big inspiration is kind of Destiny. I'm a huge like Bungie fanboy. Loved rinsing Halo in my youth, and I love these kind of like super expansive, intricate, story-driven universes. And so even like I've read like all the Halo books and stuff as well and things like that. And so I just love that kind of the world building behind it. And so that's kind of what I try and draw inspiration from like a high level. But then the mechanics themselves, we want to try and create stuff that's like feasible to launch in phases. So it's kind of like working on a slightly more basic mechanic first, but then that can kind of lay the foundations for like increasing layers of complexity. And so kind of like you mentioned with like EVE Online and things, something like that would be like a really cool sort of end direction type thing. So I'm not sure, Steve, if you've got any gaming references you enjoy.
Yeah, I loved like Pokemon growing up. That was a huge one. And then I love like the Skyrim type games, Elden Ring, like anything kind of fantasy, and then play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons as well. So I think that kind of role playing, kind of fantasy mystical is something that's always been drawn my attention and a lot of fun. The big draw for me is being able to play with friends and other people and have like collaborative things like that. So that's part of why I love doing these types of community things, and hopefully can bring some of that flavor into helping build out what the Scifikin and how the game works. But like you said, our creative director Ben, who runs his own kind of indie game studio, and I really love the kind of some of the concept of his game that he has in work as well. It's if you're still showing that.
Show you,
yeah. So like this
is my screen still showing?
Yeah, you're good. So this is kind of the studio and the game that our game designer and creative director has built out. And like Satira said, he has basically paused this to come work fully on VoxoDeus. So we're going to be bringing not obviously this game, but a lot of this like style feel to what we're able to build and bring to life, embedded within our VoxoDeus NFTs. So again, won't be overnight because it takes a bit to build out things and games that are actually fun. But we got a really talented team. So I'm excited to see kind of what we can continue to build together.
Well, thank you for those answers. There's a lot of conversation in our Discord about games, not only on blockchain, but games in general, and really, what really gets you entrenched, what makes you care about it, and not just being a superficial experience. And certainly with what you've shared today, and the depth of what you've put together so far in your year of building and your plans for things to come, it's clear that you care about building that type of experience for your users, right? To have a lot of depth to it. This is something that you could really embed yourself in and enjoy for a long time to come. So thank you so much for sharing so many intimate details about the project, about things to come, about the co-promotion opportunity we have here with the amazing Cypher Takes. Can't wait to put a whale in my plot and really build out. And to anyone watching that's a whale role holder, be on the lookout in the whale rooms. We're going to be giving away a Voxo as well, so you can be part of this amazing community. We'll share the links for people to come over to your community. I'm sure you've shared so they can come over to ours, and we'll continue this synergistic relationship for a long time.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah, and really an honor to work with you guys. It's it's been incredible and truly fun collaboration as well, creatively.
And Satiris and I'll be at NFT New York if anyone's around. Feel free to find us. Yeah. We're always glad to chat VoxoDeus. So
I'll be the guy hobbling around in a leg cast. Broke my foot the other day.
No,
not great timing.
You said NF Steve is relatively new. He could wheel you around, maybe. Earn some stripes.
I just he can give me a piggyback.
I'm just kidding. That's what we'll have DC there for. Actually, I'm gonna probably make our first whale appearance at an event. We've been relatively cautious with COVID, but NFT NYC may be the first one that we roll out in person. So perhaps we'll meet up there and we'll have a get together. Looking forward to it, gentlemen.
Sounds like a great plan.
Can't wait.
Thanks again for joining us, and can't wait to see what's to come.
All right.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.